Hello, everybody, and welcome to What Do You Say Anime's bonus edition of. I guess we're just doing a review of Main Abyss Dawn of the Deep Soul. Before we jump into this is the sequel movie to Season 1. There will be heavy spoilers. So if you have not seen the movie yet and you don't want it spoiled, do not listen to this review. Joining me today, first, we have Pat from Watch Club. Pat, how's it going?
Oh, it's good. That was a really good time. Thank you for hosting this viewing party, and I'm so glad we watched it.
Yes, me too. And we have our Main Abyss expert, Tyler. Tyler, how's it going?
Hey, happy to be here and talk about the movie.
Yes, we just got done watching Made in Abyss, Dawn of the Deep Soul, the highly anticipated sequel we've been waiting 4 years for. And
Something like that, yeah.
boy, was the wait worth it. Holy moly. We have a couple things we probably want to touch on. I know I want to touch on some things towards the end of the movie, but I want to start with how I don't know what their budget was for this movie, but holy shit, like right as soon as the movie starts, you see the animation just go to a whole nother level compared to what we saw in season 1. And that's not taking away anything from season 1, because I thought season 1 was pretty solid animation, but this was, if I was watching this in a 4K high def theater, this movie would just been, I would have been mind blown. And that's me seeing things like Your Name and Promare and Weathering with You. Like the animations were flawless. I guess I want to get your guys' thoughts as well. Pat, do you want to go first?
Sure, yeah, no, I agree. The animation was stunning. It was what you'd expect from a movie for sure, in terms of quality. But to go along even further than that, what you're used to, or not further, but so instead of critiquing it like artistically, I'd also like to say that they showed things too, like graphically, like in terms of like content, it was graphic, it was good. They did a good job with showing entrails and other things that like most shows would skimp out on because they don't want the R rating, let's say. I know that's not how they do it in Japan, but they'd be more careful with stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
this
for
one
sure.
this one was all out with that. It was all out, and I loved that. And it was really well animated too, obviously, on top of that. I guess going along with that too, the music was it was something else. There were like 3 different times where I was just like, yep, that's a Pankin soundtrack.
Yes,
All right,
Kevin Bacon
like that
came
was,
back and did the soundtrack for this one as well.
which
Good job.
he's incredible. Yeah, all of his work is recognizable. I know Shield Hero is not a popular show around here for good reason, but the music in it is pretty phenomenal. He did Tower of God too. I
Yep.
think he did. Yeah, like he's done some very good shows, and this was like the one I think that he got really famous for in particular. I
I,
think this was his first one.
I think so. Tyler, how about your initial thoughts on like the animation? I guess we can do sound
That was
as
the
well.
first thing I said in the chat was like, this animation's insane or something
Yeah.
along those lines. And then like I've read the manga, and the manga art is very good. Like it's better than most manga, and like the anime did it better in like almost every single time. The fight with Rag and Bone Druid when he was in like, I don't know what you want to call that form, like berserk mode or whatever, like that was so cool looking with all the black trails around him and how he looked possessed and whatnot. It was very well done.
Yes, and I think we'll touch on that a little bit later, because this movie was sort of broken up, I think, into like 2 parts. The first one was definitely the journey getting to, or entering level 5 and meeting Prushka, the
Prushka. Yep.
Prushka, and reintroducing Bondrewd. Is that how you say it?
Bondrewd.
Bondrewd.
Bondrewd,
So we
like
met
that.
we had like an introduction to him season 1, but this is more of like a formal introduction where we actually hear like dialogue and conversations between everybody, and we find out that Bondred is the father figure of Prushka, who is the little girl similar to Rico's age. And I guess my initial thoughts on like the first half of the show, it was really interesting to see this, just the world building itself is insane, and just seeing the next level and what's involved with it. And we get to see this brand new fortress essentially that Bondred has, and the world that we get encapsulated with, and kind of figuring out, like, we kind of know that he's responsible for Nanachi's form that she's in, her anamorph stage that she's in,
The curse that she was under.
the curse that
Yeah.
she's under. So like we know that he's, we'll have this conversation later, if Bodred is a good or bad guy. So
Although
I'm
the
excited
curse,
for that.
She didn't get the curse. We find out that she got the blessing.
Right.
you're
Oh,
right,
right.
right.
The other girl got the curse, and Nanachi got the blessing of the abyss.
I
Okay.
thought she got both, but the girl took the curse for her. I think is the
So they both are down there. So one person gets the bad part, the curse, and the Nanachi gets the blessing. So that's I also believe why Bone Druid has those cases. So every single time, like when something bad's going to happen to him, he's using those cases to take the what's it called, the curse of the abyss, while he gets the blessing.
Yeah, because you see it when Pershka's in her jelly state, I'll say, and you hear like her mindset. She's like, this hurts, this hurts, this hurts.
Yeah.
And she's no longer like in physical form. She's like a slime essentially. So you see like this transfer of pain to the cursed and not the person who's blessed essentially.
That was crazy that like, because I would look at Nanachi and think she's still cursed, but like they're saying that that's a blessing, like what she got. Like Bone Druid thinks she's one of the greatest creations of the abyss.
I don't know. See, I think that she's still cursed, but she didn't. Her friend took the brunt, and what's her name? The little Mitty. Thank you.
Mitty.
I think Mitty took the majority of the curse, but I still think that you would define how Nanachi is now as like part of the curse, or the like. Obviously, there's a blessing to it too. I don't know. Again, I think
varies.
that's semantics. We don't know either because
you see it in the beginning of the movie that when Reg goes over to like the other whistle guy, I guess I don't know what you call him. Nachi like has like supervision, so like she gets like blessed with like certain things as well.
And she can see the curse and whatnot. I don't know.
Yeah.
As you go, you'll find out why she's blessed.
Yes, Tyler's not going to give any spoilers for the manga since he's caught up, but we need him as he's our expert, he's our consultant for this.
Yeah, especially I think I mean, I guess we can get right into it, can't we? I guess other than like our initial impressions, like would you recommend
What's
this
your
movie?
initial impressions on like the first half? I guess let's do it before we get to the fights and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. I would say I was very impressed by this movie all throughout. I can just say straight up, and so I absolutely would recommend this to anybody that likes the Made in Abyss series or enjoyed the first season. Can't recommend this movie enough. I loved it.
You even liked it more than the first season, right?
I did.
You didn't like the first season.
Okay. Saying I didn't like the first season would be a little bit unfair. I think I didn't love the first season because there were parts of it that bothered me. There were just parts of it that I didn't like or didn't enjoy, and it felt too slow, and I was annoyed by how in the dark we were, but then also they skipped over a lot of things too, like that I would have liked to have learned more about. So yeah, that's still like I liked the first season. I thought it was a 7 out of 10, but I think the other problem with the first season for me was it was hyped up as like anime of the year for 2017.
It won anime of the year.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Like it won it for certain shows or for certain awards, right? And I went in expecting to be blown away, and I wasn't as blown away. I remember when I first watched it, at least not for Watch Club, but when I first watched it, I wasn't as blown away as I was expecting. And then there was also the random what the fuck moments with the sexualization of children.
I'll just talk about that, like what we didn't like.
I mean, I guess we can, but like let's let Pete do his first impression first.
No, Tyler, do you want to give us your impression of the first half? Because there were things...
I mean, I was just hyped because I've read it, and this is my favorite like arc in the manga. Like Bone Druid is one of the coolest characters in the entire Abyss, and seeing him right away, like showing up instantly, I was so happy because then I was like, oh, we're gonna see like what happens to Prushka. We're gonna see all the fights. I didn't know where it was going to end, so I was very happy where it started.
How'd you feel about them? I know you said like when they eat the slime in the beginning that was covered in the manga.
In what's it called? Liza's notebook, who is Rico's mom. And there's like something in there that tells them to eat the goo stuff and tells them how to prepare it and how to like not get poisoned or something like that. And they do skip over a lot of things. And like I texted my buddy after the movie and I was like, I really like the movie more than the manga, but I feel like if you haven't read the manga, you probably don't get the same thing as like I got out of the movie, because I was able to fill in all the gaps where if you didn't watch it, I would imagine you're still like, or if you didn't read it, I would imagine a lot of things are like confusing still.
I think that's like that with like most like books though, where not every question or not everything that they have adapted from paper can get into like a movie, unless it's like, I don't know, Harry Potter and it's 8 movies.
But even Harry Potter doesn't doesn't get everything either. Like it skips a lot. Like, I remember book 4 was my favorite book of Harry Potter, and they skipped over
Maybe
so
a
much
bad
stuff.
example, but I was trying to
I
think
get
of.
what you're saying.
I was trying to think of
It's
a book
almost
that has a
impossible.
bunch of content or something like that.
Lord of the Rings are like good adaptations of the books.
It did or did not? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I feel like it's pretty good.
Okay.
And they're like 2.5 hours long. If you get the director's cut, they really give you a lot.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
That's fair.
Like a good adaptation. It was very fast. Like the movie was fast too. I think you said it was an hour and 40 minutes long, but it didn't feel long.
It did
went
feel
very
like a really good. I thought it ended like right when it ended. I felt like that was good.
That was
like
a good
I didn't want to
yeah.
watch anymore. I'm excited for season 2 for sure, and that's another thing I just want to say real quick. How season 1 ended, because I gave season 1 a 9. I still think it's great, but season 1 really, if season 2 was out when season 1 ended, I don't think I would rush out and watch season 2 right away when I got done with season 1. When this movie ended, I want to watch season 2 right now. Like
jumping into that little, like, I don't know what you want to call it, like a portal or something.
I felt like isn't that like I felt like isn't that a thing that like takes them down?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, what would you call it? That's what's so cool.
Like it's kind of like an elevator type of, like an orb elevator, it looks like to me. Like they're gonna jump in and it's gonna take them down to the 6th level is my feeling.
I don't know what else to call it. It's just it is what it is. That's the whole purpose of it though too, is to be cool and to be mysterious, right? Yes. Like that's all that.
That's so cool about the Abyss. It's like the setting and the surroundings.
The world is incredible. How about you want to talk about things that we didn't like? Because Pat, I know you have some things you want to vent.
Yeah, sure. I can go off on this show, and the creator of this show, if he ever listens, dude, you need to get some help. You need some help, my friend, because there is so much. So I guess my big thing that I thought of during the first season too, when they had the moments where they talked about Rika being naked, or they were talking about what's Reg's dick, like all these different boner and stuff. Whenever they would talk about this stuff, I was just uncomfortable because it's like it's sexualizing children in a fan service mentality, right? It's not like the show is High School of the Dead where it's all about fan service. The show is serious, it's morbid, it's meant to be dark and real, or psychological is probably better than a word than real. I didn't like them doing it again in this movie, and in this movie it's just as apparent, if not more, than it was in the show. I would say.
I think
it's more. I'd say it's more because there's so many calls to people being naked or Reg popping a boner or whatever, and it's just so like my thing was, I was sitting there and saying to myself, there is no reason that these characters couldn't have been a little older than they were. And again, Tyler, I know we talked about this before where we were like, well, you need the bond, right, of a young child or whatever, or Bondroot does, which we'll go further into that later. But I didn't understand, in my head at least, like, why couldn't these characters be 16, 17, 18 at least, just older and mature to the point where they should be thinking about sex, should be thinking things like this, rather than being like the 10-year-olds that they are. It made me so uncomfortable how sexualized they were in terms of fan service. It just put me off. It took me out of this, and it really did hamper my rating for this show, or this movie. I really, this could have been a perfect movie to me, but this is one of the main things that held me back from thinking that. I don't know how you guys felt about it.
Tyler, did you have any things that you didn't like about the movie?
I mean, I agree with Pat, but I don't know if I'm just like, I'm really good to just like brush it off and try to like, well, who cares? Like, I wish it wasn't in there. Also, I knew it was coming, so I was prepared for it.
That's the other thing. Yeah,
I cut a lot of it out. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh God! Like, as soon as he was in that chair too, I'm like, oh, these guys are gonna be typing something in the chat in like seconds here. So it's almost like a second time. It's funny. Like, when it comes to parts like that, I pick my phone up and start looking at it. Wait till it's off the screen.
Sure. You laugh in Monogatari because this is
Monogatari too. That's like my favorite series, and Aragi's like a freaking pedophile. So
that's the thing though. Like, it's a comedy. Well, is Bakemonogatari a comedy? I would say it's a comedy.
It definitely has comedic elements.
It's definitely. It was meant to be a funny moment, versus this was literally just meant to be like horrifying, or meant to be fan service. Honestly, I'll just say it. It was meant in that way, versus like in Monogatari, it's meant as a joke. Like, of course, I guess that is fan service too.
Yeah.
But it's more what his character is. It's
like,
what that show is and what the character is. It's completely different. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I was so off put by it, and I was so frustrated by it too because I was just like, so like a great example, like has to pop a boner to come out of like enraged form, to come out of sage mode. Like what the fuck is that? Like he doesn't. Yeah, sage mode. You like that Naruto reference? Thank you. I don't know. Did it come out of Saiyan stance? I don't know. I don't
No,
watch Dragon Ball. Can you
stick with
tell I don't
sage
watch
mode.
Dragon Ball? Yeah, that exactly. That's my point though. Like, does he have to do that, or could they just say, "Man, feeling the bond that I have with these people around me, my friends, my closest companions, feeling their touch or feeling close to them, that's what drew me back in." Like, that's something that they very easily could have done.
What
And
drew him out though, or did he just run out of power?
I don't know. That's the other thing.
I
I
don't
have
think
no
I don't
idea.
think
Like, I'd
him
have to watch it
him
again.
popping the boner didn't get him out of sage mode. But
I
No,
think
no,
it
but
happened
that
when he
was
woke
that was
up.
right after
Like
because
the first thing that happened when he woke up. So after some like
Right.
super cool, really hyped moment, it's like, boom, let's do this stupid scene.
stupid
Like I didn't
scene.
need that.
Exactly. So it wasn't even
They just
necessary.
sort
So
of
there you
hugged.
go.
I think that's
Yeah.
that's how
No,
the
you're right. Talking about it now, it makes like I think that makes more sense. But like I said, I'd have to like watch it again and see.
Yeah, that's fair too, because we were not pausing the movie. Pete was smart to not let us have the option to pause, because otherwise that would have taken twice as long to watch.
yeah.
Yeah, we had to do that. But so I don't know. I definitely would want to watch it again to see certain things like that. Again, this is our initial reaction to. We only
Yeah,
watched
this
like
is
an hour ago.
This is an
20
hour
minutes
ago.
ago.
Yeah, like we. So
An
I'm
hour,
not.
yeah.
Yeah, about an hour or so we finished it. So we don't know. There are definitely things that we're probably wrong about. So please do correct us in the comments, but or give us your own opinions. But yeah, so Pete, I guess you're all that's left. What did you not like about?
Well, I didn't like so like the scene that we were talking about where he gets done with sage mode and then he like calls up the Nanachi and pops a boner.
Yeah.
I mean, I laughed, but it's stupid because that's not, like you said before, like that's not what the show is like.
Mm-mm.
I guess the only thing I can think of is like this is a serious, dark, twisted show. Like there's a lot of fucked up moments. And I just don't know if it's the author who just doesn't know how to release the tension other than, hey, these are like 12-year-old kids and they're boys and girls, so
Yeah.
let's throw in like random like sexual tension because that way we can make it not as serious all the time. I think that's the only thing I can think of. I'd rather them to like shit their pants or something and it'd be better. Like I don't know, like I don't know. I think it'd just be stupid. Like I don't know. You go full sage mode. You black out for 2 hours. When you wake up, you crap your pants. Like there's a tension relief, and you don't have to involve getting like naked 12-year-olds because there's like a bath scene too with Prushka.
Yes.
I'm like,
no reason.
I'm like, that's not necessary. That's not necessary. We don't need that.
It was literally they were showing like it was about her
It was a
like
montage,
being a
wasn't
human. No, it was a
Yeah, it was a
right, exactly.
montage.
It's in the middle of a montage where they're trying to like humanize her, I think, or show her growing up, right? Why did they include a scene where she's bathing as part of her growing up?
And,
There's no need. There's literally no need.
We already see that her growing. Okay, I'll say growing up in quotation marks because here's what I'm going with. You see her as younger, and then when you meet her, you see she clearly has tits. It's like she's grown up.
Like
she's grown up.
Direct like a 30-year-old.
Yeah, it's like we know that she's a girl. Like we know that she has tits. Like you
Right.
didn't have to include a naked bath scene. But honestly, I'm kind of like Tyler. It was bad, but it didn't like. It's not going to drop the score for me because honestly, it lasted 8 seconds of the movie, and the movie itself
that's
had
generous.
the movie itself had so many great scenes. I think I'm going to transition into that because in the second half, when we are done with like the world building and setting up all the conflict and the tension that's going on, we really see like what the movie is about, and that is confronting Bone Druid with his essentially, I'll just say experiments. I don't know if there's a better word to put, but him taking these children and essentially experimenting on them to make him more powerful, make him immortal. I don't know if you guys want to branch off of this. If you have,
What did you think about his like being able to transfer his like what do you call it? His personality or conscious? Like
so
he's more
cool.
like,
Unbelievable. The first time where they he rips off the head and just throws it on another body.
Yes, that was
Holy
so
shit.
cool.
I was like,
oh my
yes,
god,
this is what the Abyss is. Like this is.
dude, I freaked when he died. Like, cause he had a lot of chapters. Like it was more drawn out in the manga. He had a lot of chapters, and then how he just died in the first fight. You were like, no, that can't be like how it
exactly.
The next chapter, like another one walks up, and I'm still like, well, now this guy's gonna wreck everyone, and he just picks the helmet up and puts it on him and becomes Bone Druid or whatever his name is again. I was like, that blew my mind. That's the coolest scene in the movie.
I agree that
I
was
say it's
such a
the
sick
second
scene.
coolest scene in the movie because I think the fight between Bondred
When
and
he went, like, in the
Regu,
Black Book.
holy crap, dude, that was incredible. The animation was so
Yeah.
pristine. It was so clean. I love it when they can do it because they're moving at like 1,000,000 miles an hour,
It looks
and
so good.
every frame is 60 frames. Nothing's dropped. Everything looks clean. Everything looks crisp. And I mean, it kind of sucks that it was ruined by a boner alert, but like, it still was incredible. Like, I don't know how long they fought
music-
for, 4 minutes. The music with Kevin
The
Bacon,
music during it was
woo, child.
awesome. Yeah, that's what I was most excited about
child.
during the fight. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not into anime fights that much. Like, it was a cool fight. Don't get me wrong. Before I start on my negative rant, I guess. But like, for me, it was like the music was what I really liked. Like, I was just sitting there like, wow,
You're an
the
old
music's
man.
building up the tension. I don't know. I like fight animations. Like, I was just like, okay, this is cool, but maybe it's just because I haven't seen enough anime fights in my own personal watching to actually like really care or say, oh, this animation was awesome. Like, that's not usually what I was paying attention to, but they were really cool. It was really cool seeing it, how he like used his arm to help himself out, and like, because he only had one at that moment. And then the climax of the fight scene with her using his with Riku. Is that her name? God, I'm so terrible. Rico, I'm so bad. Their names are so similar. Rico shooting Reg's arm, or at least holding it in the right spot for him to then
Really cool.
slice him in half. That was fucking sick.
That
That
was
was
so
so
cool.
smart. That was so clever. I had no idea it was coming. I was just like, yup, that's awesome.
I really like doing like animes like this where like it's not, the anime is not about the fight. Like, there doesn't need to
Right.
even be any fight anime like this. So then when you get one and it's super cool, it really feels awesome and like more deserved. Like, I know this was a movie, but I mean, in the season 1, like maybe he got in a couple little tussles with monsters, but like you didn't see anything that was on this level. Like, even his little fight with Ozen like wasn't really serious because she was just testing him or whatever.
Yep.
Where this was like life and death. Granted, wasn't Bone Drew just testing them too? You find out,
Essentially,
or
yes.
He was, yeah.
I didn't even realize that when I was reading the manga, but watching it after reading it, I'm like, holy shit! Like, this was his idea all along, because he is evil, but he wants a good thing. Like, everything that he's doing isn't for himself; it's for like everyone. Like, why is the curse of the abyss? Why are we all drawn to the abyss? He's the only person that's actually trying to. Well, not the only person, because Rico is definitely trying to figure it out. She wants to know what's up, but all the other White Whistles, they're just there for fame and fortune or whatever. They just go back up.
I see that's probably a good segue into the next big talking point for us. Because I know you said he's evil.
Pure
I don't
evil.
think
Pure
I don't
evil.
think he's evil at all. I think he is such a first off though, even if he is evil or you think he's evil, he is such a fantastically written character. Like, is so sick. He
top tier antagonist. He's up there with like Griffith, Miriam, all those dudes.
I'd compare him to Griffith. Like, I think Griffith is a very good comparison for this character.
That's why I said if you're someone who believes that the ends justify the means, then he's not a bad guy.
No, he's not, and that's where I guess that's where I end up standing
on
this,
because things like he hurts people. But like I said, if you think that the end justifies the means, then he's inherently a good person.
He doesn't hurt people because he wants to. He hurts people because he doesn't even see it as hurting them, though, either. He's experimenting. He's trying to figure out the problem that is in front of him. He is a scientist. He is a person that is experimenting and trying to figure something out, and he is willing to do anything that takes, including
killing children,
killing people, and manipulating people. Although I don't even think he sees it as manipulation. I think he sees it as just them being part of the task. Like, it's not necessarily, and like you said earlier, like, oh, he's trying to be immortal. I don't even think he wants to be immortal. I think he just wants to.
He needs to be immortal.
He needs to be immortal so that he can figure this problem out.
How many times has he died? Probably like it doesn't.
Thousands,
but I would imagine countless times he's died. Because he said all of the, is it the Umbra hands or something like that? That's what he called those people with.
Yeah.
Like, all of those are him. So
Because
I don't think
isn't
the first
Ozen like 400 years old too?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ozen's
I'm
really
pretty sure
old.
lots of them are old as shit.
Yeah, I'm
But
pretty
the
sure Bondred is like
Typhus in the
hundreds of
Abyss,
years
too.
old. I don't know.
For sure.
Maybe we can Google it, but I feel like he's like.
No, I'm almost positive you're right because everybody says that Liza's dead, but like Ozen told her at the end that like time moves differently in the abyss.
Yep.
So even though it's been maybe a year up top, it might only have been like 2 days down at the bottom of the abyss. It's like Inception or whatever.
Yes.
When those guys go
as
to
you
the
get
islands.
deeper, it gets slower or whatever.
Yeah, time slows down. I don't know why it does, but that's why I love this show, this manga. Like it's a crazy mystery, and I have no clue what's next.
My only like counterpart to why I think he's just pure evil is that he's doing this for the science of the abyss, but it's not needed. Like there's nothing that is going to. The world doesn't need the abyss. The abyss is literally like there for.
The world is centered around the abyss. They say
is.
at the beginning of season 1, the towns are only around the abyss, and like all things are drawn to the abyss. And like there's a saying in season 1, like everything comes back to the abyss, and that's why they think Rico is so drawn to the abyss because she was born.
She was born there, yes. But like, okay, but like, say. I don't know. I guess I'll just put it in my terms. I don't think sacrificing the children for the outcome that they're getting is worth it, because he's sacrificing. I don't even want to know how many children, because even in one fight he dumps like 3 cartridges, so that's 3 kids that are at least probably 10 plus years old. So that's 30 years of his life he dedicated to growing a bond, so he could use them as fuel.
They fought down there, and you saw the they were walking on top of them. In the manga, I'm almost positive it's like a mountain of those things, just all on top of each other, like trying to crawl back to that hole.
Yeah, that was There's some really uncomfortable scenes, because there's a scene where he's in the hole and he like, the fight starts there, and I think he like kicks one of the slime people, and like their eye is all fucked up. I'm like, oh my god!
The reason why he could be inherently good also is like, wouldn't you think if he was an evil bastard, like he was walking down there and he knew every single one of their names based on their.
I don't think that makes him a good person, but I just
he did, and he also showed regret.
Like you see, like I said, he's not just doing it for himself because he wants to be the smartest man ever. Like he's not even himself anymore. He's twisted as hell from the abyss, but he still has the same goal in mind.
Yeah,
and he also still wants to or not only does he still know the names, but he also still feels bad whenever their cartridges are ejected. He's always just like, man, I really liked. Or
he does say their names.
You wanted to be a princess. He says their names and says stuff about it. That's again another that was when I was in the chat. I was like, fuck you guys. I was right.
It shows
I was right.
It shows he cares about them, but he's still garbage. Like he's
not. He's not.
And isn't teacher or whatever leader? Then isn't he bad? He's training these kids to go to the abyss.
So if all will die.
Why is he any worse than Bone Druid? You know, and at least Bone Druid looks like an evil bastard and is like not hiding what he's doing. Like that leader looks like he's the nicest boy ever, and he's just sends Lies or Rico down the abyss.
Well, I mean, I don't know if we want to have this. He only like sends him to like the first level though.
The first level, yeah, but that's still where people die.
True, it's true. They do die there.
Telling them, if you don't get to the point of no return before I catch up with you, then you're coming back with me. So it was like another test.
Yes. Oh, I should say before I point this out, if we do have a conversation on the first season as well. So if you like our conversation, everybody should go check out our Watch Club episode of Bait and Abyss.
Although it is our first episode of Watch Club, so bear with us. It wasn't bad. No, it wasn't bad. It's just bear with us though. There are some things that we were still. Well, to put it in Reg's terms, we were still rubbing those out, you know.
Ooh,
yeah, ha ha. Yes,
yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Uncomfortable joke. Moving on.
Moving on. I just want to say, so his I don't know, his team that he works with down in this fortress, are those like are those golems, or are those like real people, or because like when they died, the people with the helmets, because like when they died, they had like the same thing that he had.
I don't know what they are,
because they seem dumb. You know? Like they just seem, because like Nanachi like rescued Reg like super easy, because they just seem like dumb golems. So
my interpretation of that was that since that they're like his conscience is like in the mask, right? And so I think he is always I interpreted them as like extensions of that conscience where they could be a vessel for him, but they are not necessarily as intelligent or smart as
Okay.
he himself is. That's how
That
I
makes
interpret
sense
it.
because like when they died, they looked the exact same as Bone Druid, so
Yep.
that would make sense. Okay.
Yep. And I liked too that he wasn't gone, and that
Oh my god, that was such a cool
that was
scene too.
so
I
cool
know we
when he
touched
walked
on it, but
over.
holy shit, dude, we were blowing up in chat like, holy shit, like
Yep.
what is
I knew he was
happening? I
alive.
knew he wasn't dead either, but I was like,
That's why I was just like, wait, is he actually dead? But then when they showed him, because like I was like, why hasn't someone come to take his mask, or why hasn't Nanachi destroyed his mask yet either? Too, like that would have been the only way to do it. But I'm glad Nanachi didn't, and I'm glad Nanachi started to see why she might have stuck around him, or might have felt some sort of loyalty or whatever to him. You know, like he definitely.
I don't think it was. Was it even the mask that did it? It was that weird plant thing that transferred the consciousness, wasn't it?
I think
I thought
the mask was just like,
the vessel.
yeah, like the
I
And
vessel or
also,
something. Like that was like his
here
persona.
in the wiki, it says that the people he puts those masks on, like he doesn't need a human to like implant his consciousness into, and that must be why he has that crazy like monster like looking
He gets the
form.
tail.
Oh, the tail. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoever he's taking over, like these beasts that he finds or something. Maybe that's why they're stupid too. That he's did
That
some
makes
sort of
sense. Yeah. They just
Not only
like,
that,
the
whistle
section
too.
of this movie or whatever, so
Isn't
it
the
doesn't go past it.
isn't the whistle his soul or his spirit too? Isn't that
Yeah,
what they
well,
say about white whistles? Is that they're the
it
only way
was
a white whistle is formed is by
human
ret-
life.
yeah, it's like human. So maybe that's how his conscience is passed, is through that whistle, or that's the vessel as well, along with the mask. I don't know. Again, it's
that would make sense, honestly, just based off like the lore of the Abyss. Like that's his
yeah.
vessel. I mean,
Mhm.
there's a lot of questions that I'm hoping to get answered because
Hopefully next season, because they went like in the manga when they talked about the cartridges right away. There was like a deep explanation of like what the cartridges are, how they're made. Granted, they later went into how the cartridges were made, but they also talked about how the white whistles were made. So
okay,
hopefully season or in the next season. I do know that now that Liza, or I keep wanting to call Rico Liza. Now that Rico has a white whistle, like she's gonna wear it around her neck, so like people are going to see it, or like monsters are going to see it. They're gonna, they're scared of white whistles. Like they're known
oh
in the
really?
abyss.
Okay,
I thought that. Yeah, I figured that too. I was gonna say like,
Because isn't
her now.
OG immovable and Liza had like a name also, and then Bone Druid had like they all have these crazy nicknames for like their
Mhm.
feat they did in the abyss.
that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's when one thing I guess the final part we can touch on is uh, Prushka and her becoming the what's her name's white whistle,
Rico.
Rico.
Rico's white whistle. I thought that was really cool. I didn't see that coming, or I wasn't ready for
I
it when it
didn't
happened.
like when I was reading it too. I was like, that happened. I was so confused. I actually reread the chapter because a lot of it's done off the panels. It doesn't just explain it out to you. So you have to see like the blood or her body falling out, and then you in the movie it's easy because you hear it. It's like, well, what
Mhm.
the hell? What is that? It's supposed to be all goo, and then she drops out. You see the white whistle. You're like, whoa. So that was really cool. And did you guys think it looked like Bone Druid's helmet or no?
I thought it looked like a human heart. I thought it
Oh,
looked
Yeah,
like
that's what I thought
the
too.
valves up top looked like a human valve
Oh,
with a heart.
didn't she say what is that too when they took it out of her body? Like when they were
Yes,
dissecting her.
but they
Remember when they
it
were
did
taking things out?
when they took it out, it didn't look like a heart though.
It didn't. No,
Yeah,
that to me was just like,
in
oh,
the
a body
liver.
part.
It
I
looked
thought
like a
that was just like an
basketball or
organ.
something. It was just
I
like a
thought that.
round thing covered in goo.
Yeah, again, I don't think that that was what that scene was supposed to be. It was supposed to that scene was supposed to be her like being worried and not sure if her love for Bone Druid was actually that strong, but then her still feeling that way about him after, like saying like I'm going willing to go this far for him because he is whatever I needed, right? I don't think that like it's not like the bone was inside of her, or the white whistle was inside of her all along. I think again it's like the idea is that it gets formed from, or it got formed inside of that what do you call it, container, canister. I don't think that was like inside of her all along or something, because that would be really really like contrived, I guess.
Like, is that what she decided to turn herself into? Because that was what she saw was a heart. I'm looking at the picture on the internet now. Like, I don't even know what the hell it is. It looks like a, I don't even know, like a Spanish mask or something, like of some sort. It doesn't really look like anything.
I guess to me, it's just like how the white whistle resembles life, and hearts are like a thing of life.
That's how I.
I'm just gonna go with a heart.
Dude.
I think it looks like a heart, even though it only had 3 valves instead of 4. But like,
I did too. I thought it looked like a heart as well. That's the way I read it, or looked at it and saw it. Because like Bone Druids is shaped like bones, isn't it? Like it looks different like that. And then what's her name? Rico's mother's whistle is actually shaped like a whistle.
Hers just looks like a normal whistle.
With but it has like engravings in it, which might be with her documenting and transcribing all of the things that she saw, like the adventurer's guide or whatever you want to call that they had. Maybe that's why, because she was like the first true explorer, or the biggest, or the one who explored the furthest and got the most.
And then the top part of it coming over is like his other hand over his hand, and they look very bony. It's very cool looking.
So I think a real question that we need to get answered is, did anybody cry during this movie?
I did not, but I definitely cried when I read it.
When you read the manga? Let's say, which part of the manga hit you the hardest?
It was like horrible. Like, I couldn't believe that happened.
Let's say that again. Sorry.
When what happened to Prushka, like, that was absolutely horrible. Like, when she got turned into the cartridge, it was like, that was so sad. And then when she became a white whistle, it was almost another reason to cry, but it was like actual happiness. Like, you couldn't believe that in the short time she spent with them, she cared enough and had a good enough bond to become a white whistle for Rico.
Yeah, I think part of it too was her desire to be on the adventure with them, right? Like, I think that's exactly another thing. Which is why it was sweet. It was nice and sweet to see that she will be on the adventure with them by being.
They showed him like walking into not the abyss, but like almost like walking off into the sunset in like one of those montages, and it was all 4 of them. And then right after that, you saw that she became a whistle or whatever.
Yeah, no, that was cool. Again, I liked that. I guess I'll answer the question next. I didn't cry at any point during this movie, but I was very emotionally attached and invested, to say the least. With Prushka, she was awesome. I really liked Prushka. She probably was my favorite character.
She was definitely my favorite character up until she no longer exists.
She's no longer there.
She exists in our hearts, Tyler.
True. Yes. And on that whistle, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. That was that's what I was getting at. But yeah, I had I was like, those scenes that you brought up, I was definitely like invested in. I wasn't crying though, because I kind of was just like, all right, well, if they're going to introduce someone like this at this point in the story, there's not going to be a happy ending for them, especially if they're involved with Bone Druid, or if they look at Bone Druid as like a father figure. Like, there's not going to be any way where they're not, something like this is going to happen, I guess. I was sad with that, but the what's her companion's name again? The
pet.
I think.
What's it called? I forgot.
Fuck.
Adorable though. Great character.
It was great little bit.
Meinya. I don't know how you say that.
I don't know how you say it either.
Either way, it was a good addition too. I really like that. There are a lot of moments that made me go "aw" or "no," no, but there was no moments where I was just like emotionally, like, like again, I use Violet Evergarden all the time as an example, but that, like the waterworks were flowing with that one, not with this one.
Yeah, I think there was one time in chat where I was like, "What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck?"
Yes.
I get the scene that really got to me was when you saw Prushka essentially being, I'll say, disassembled,
being prepared to be,
but then you see the flashbacks of her essentially being cursed, and her having this really hard life, and then her almost dying by going up these stairs, and then she finally gets friends, and she finally gets a taste of like the outside life of what she's originally had, and then it's like, and you're dead. It's like, well,
she's not dead. She's not dead. Well, she's alive.
I mean, she's essentially dead.
No, well, that's the thing too, though. He took her, this child that was about to be sacrificed, right, or not sacrificed, put down, to say the least. Like, they were like, oh, she's too fucked up. She's suffering constantly. She is not in a place where like she was gonna be mercy killed essentially, right?
Yeah.
By one of the golems. And then my boy Bondrewd comes along and is like, no, 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 let's give her a life. Like essentially, like no, there is still potential for her. She is still capable, and gives her name, gives her a way to a pet. The pet he gives her the pet, and they become attached, and gives her a life that at least was worth living, and which is why she's so dedicated to him too, and is so indebted to him literally, but also she just feels emotionally so attached to him and feels like he's family because she had no family. I think that they said that, so like they just found her, right?
I
She
mean,
was just.
all of, like the sacrifices are like essentially like orphans, aren't they?
I don't even think they're orphans that come down from like the top either, though. I think they're just kids that happen in the abyss, right? Is it that was my interpretation of it, is that they're
That's a good
children.
question. I'm not sure. I always thought they were just like orphans that were like essentially
When he started,
cattle.
he used that giant elevator that took him down. But it does like it's not like the show really explains a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of got to like
No, which is
It's on
jump
kind of
it's
through
on
it.
purpose. It's like
it's on purpose because
it's open
how
to
do you explain it?
interpretation. Yeah.
And well, also, how do you explain it too? Like without it not sounding really
Sure.
dumb. Like how are there?
Exactly.
What are there villages of people just cranking out kids and then not taking care of them? Like no, like there's no explanation for how this guy got his hands on so many children because it's not like there's people that live in the abyss. There's the cave dweller or the raiders, whatever you want to call them.
Up the
I forget what they're called. Yeah, whatever they are. Yeah, there's them, and then there's the people on the top, like in the surrounding town. But those people don't come down in a thing very
We know
often.
a lot about those people. Like how many? I don't know the ranks of the whistles, but like how many middle tier whistles are there? Because like
Yeah,
her uncle is a whistle, and he's down there all the time. So you would think maybe if like that's the only form of job, then maybe there's a lot of orphans, so you can like more or less just take kids down or something. I don't know really
yeah,
though.
but
Yeah.
like, but there's also they say I think in the first season like oh they sell all of the relics like people come from around the
Yep.
world buy the relics from this specific abyss. So I don't know. Again, that's where I was just like oh that's awesome. Like it made Bondrewd redeemable to people that I already thought he was redeemable because I was like I get what they're going at. They're going for a guy who is by any means necessary trying to figure out the curse or is trying to do it. But then this made him redeemable by showing that he actually did care about the kids or cared enough to take someone that should have been mercy killed and give them a happy life, which that was very emotionally investing for me as well. And even before that though too, when they showed her getting ready, getting prepped to be cut up and everything,
Oh my
that
god.
got that to me. I was just like, no, oh no, they're not gonna do it. And then
Archie
they
what they
didn't.
don't need anymore, like pretty much all of her.
Yeah.
No, before that, even before that, because when they actually showed her getting cut up, that was also kind of
Are
sad.
you
Or they
saying
were
like
like,
when he grabbed her and asked her if she was ready, or you're almost time to be like you're almost grown or something like that?
Oh
"What's
yeah,
I?"
yeah, yeah.
Well, there was that, but no, like when they showed like the marks on her body where she was gonna be cut, and she was just laying in the chair, and she was just like, "Man, what's about to happen? Or am I ready?" Like that's essentially what yeah, that was just like, oh no, they're not gonna do that. Like no, like please don't. Even though we knew it was gonna happen, it was still like kind of like, man,
I mean,
this
like
is sad.
I said before, it wouldn't be made in Abyss without like what the fuck moments, and that was one
Hmm.
of I don't know 5 or 6 that were like really just like holy shit moments. So
Hmm.
I guess let's get to our final thoughts since we probably don't have to touch on a whole lot. So
I think
Tyler,
we talked about pretty
Tyler,
much
Pat,
everything.
which one of you guys want to start first? And
I can go. I mean,
okay,
I love the manga. I have it as a 9. I've seen the first season like 3 times. One of the only animes I've watched more than once. And then this movie, I really love the movie. I liked it more than the manga. Like, are we giving scores or no?
yeah, 1 through 10.
I'd give it a 10. I think the anime and the movie is a 10. If anything, I maybe would lower the first season to a 9 because this movie was so much better.
For
Hmm.
sure. Pat, your closing thoughts?
I kind of said everything I want to say. Again, like I was like half joking earlier when I said that oh the lolly shit's taking my score down. It definitely though, it's not necessarily just because it's the lolly shit that it's bringing the score down. It's because it was so not fitting with the rest of
For
the moments.
sure.
It took me out of it. And then also it being lolly stuff like fucks me up. I hate that. I
Sure.
just don't understand it at all, and it bothers me that it's somewhat normalized in the culture. So um even beyond that, I think this movie was fantastic. I really liked it a lot more than I liked the show itself as well. I can't speak highly enough about it. Please watch this movie. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10.
All right, and I'll close things off. I thought there were so many amazing parts to this movie. Right away in the beginning, the animation was top tier. Loved every second of it. Kevin Pinkin is like the best music guy in anime right now. I don't know how many times did we said in chat, like the music, the soundtrack, like
Yep.
oh my god, at least 3 or 4 times, and that was just like subconsciously listening to it. I bet if we went and like listened to the soundtrack, we'd be like, damn, like this is really good. So the sound, as always, incredible. We waited 4 years for this, and it was worth every second. Oh, I loved it so much. I can't wait for season 2. This was such a well done movie. It answered, I should say it answered, but it definitely set up like the adventure. It set up the next tier of danger that they're going to be embarking on. And I think it really solidified Nanachi as the next crew member or whatever partner in their ragtag team that they have. So love that, because I love Nanachi as a character. I think she was my best like character when we did our watch club. So she was great. I mean, Prushka was the best girl. Unfortunately, she's now a whistle, but still, R.I.P. Prushka. Great. Mm-hmm. Loved it. Yeah, that fight is one of the best fights I've ever seen in anime. That was incredible. I love the because I'm like nitpicky about like the animation and directing, and it was incredible. Like how they set up that whole scene was so good. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Go watch it. Made in Abyss is incredible. I love it so much.
Well, there we go. So doing some quick maths here, we had a 29 out of 30, which translates to a 9.67 out of 10 for us. If we're keeping track of our scores, I don't think there was a single person watching with us that would have given it much lower. Again, it was definitely more than just the random fan service for me that brought me down to a 9. Like again, I it's probably more just because I'm not that as invested in the series as you guys are from the initial first season. Like, but I definitely really liked this, and I can't wait for more. I cannot wait for the season 2.
Do we know when it's coming or no?
2021, and it's unknown like which season it's coming out. I'm going to guess like middle. I think it was supposed to come out 2020 and got delayed because of COVID.
Hopefully like winter or spring, maybe.
I'd say more spring. I doubt it's winter. I think
it's almost certainly not winter.
About it,
yeah,
because it would have 100% would have been announced. It absolutely would have been announced.
It's like it's gonna make money.
Oh yeah, when this is announced, like this is maybe it's not. It's really like this type of show is not like, I don't know, like when Attack on Titan gets announced or whatever, like sure Twitter explodes. Made in Abyss is kind of like that because it's a different demographic that like gravitates to the show. So it's still like the same character. This is like a A+ show, like in terms of popularity. Like
I really like it. And the nice thing is too, if you like the season 1 more than the movie, it goes back more towards what season 1 was, like more of an adventure and less of just a fight with Bone Druid.
Sure. Which I'm cool with because I love the adventure, the world building, and all that stuff
too. Because I guess that was one thing I didn't love is we didn't see a lot of monsters, and I thought that was the coolest, or whatever. What are they called, hollows or something? Yep. You didn't see a lot of those in this one. Where in season 1, that was one of the coolest things, seeing the beasts and whatnot that they fight.
I guess in the movie we were only on 1 floor, so where in the show they did 4.
Fine to Bone Druid's like hideout or area, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Well, do you guys have anything else to say before we end it?
Nope. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. If you whatever platform you're listening on, like, comment, subscribe, that bullshit. You know the jingles. We're on Twitter. What do you say, Annie? That's what you say, ANI on Twitter. Stay up to date information on the podcast. And we have a Discord. If you want to come watch stuff like we did with Made in Abyss, you can come to our Discord.
Or play Among Us.
Or play Among Us or whatever you want. Come join our Discord. Links in the description below. But other than that, thank you very much for listening. And we'll see you in a few days for Handshakers.
For Handshakers, baby. Let's go.
Thank you
We're
so much.
We're so excited for that.
Bye, everybody.